Hello, in this video we will talk about the impacts of artificial intelligence in our lives. Before we start talking about the impacts of artificial intelligence, I'd like to share with you a few basic ideas how do we get here, through a human framework. I will pick up in some ideas from Luciano Florid on this book, The Fourth Revolution, and it talks about the four centers. The center of the universe, the world, the brain, and the last one, intelligence. It starts to tell us that in the beginning we think that we are the center of the universe, until Copernicus tells us, sorry, we are not the center of the universe, we're just a tiny point on the universe. Then we keep thinking that we were the ones that rule in the world, that we appear here for some kind of divine approach or something like this. And then Darwin, with the origin of species, tells us that was not quite like this. But we're still thinking that we were the center of our own thought, that we do everything with conscience. Until Freud tells us, sorry, but many of the things that you do are made unconscious. And the last one that I would like to talk to you about is concerning Alan Turing. So we are not the center of the universe, we are not the center of the world, we are not the center of our conscience, but at least we are the only ones on the world that can think. In 1950, Alan Turing wrote a very important article called Computing Machinery and Intelligence on the magazine Mind, and he asked us, can machine think? This was really the beginning about a new era, about new realities that we are facing. But before we start talking about impacts, I would like to talk to you about intelligence, the human, the artificial, and augmented. It's very difficult for us to say what is intelligence. We have billions of neurons that are producing synapses. So even for us to clearly understand what is intelligence is very difficult. But nevertheless, we have some definitions that we can apply to intelligence. For example, Einstein tells us that the true sign of intelligence is not the knowledge but the imagination. And Gardner, with the multiple intelligence, tells us that it's the ability to solve problems or to create products, but value within one or more cultural settings. And we have Lager and Utter that is not talking only about the human intelligence, but intelligence that measures an agent's ability to achieve goals in a wide range of environments. So it's not only the human intelligence, but other kinds of intelligence that are being developed today. Ray Kurzweil is a very important expert on this area. He tells us that in the last 50 years, he was thinking about thinking. He even tells us that we are in the way to a human 2.0. And in 2045, maybe we achieve what he calls singularity. And what is singularity? Is when we cannot distinguish between human and machines. And he tells us that this will be achieved because all the last developments that we have in terms of computing, of data, and all these new advances that have been made on artificial intelligence. And if you take a look, 2045 is just in 25 years. Of course, there are lots of experts that tell us that that will be impossible, or we will need at least a century to reach there. I will just give you an example about one work of Ray Kurzweil. He works for Google AI and you can use it. It's called Talk to Books. And what it does is you just have to put the question and then this platform, Talk to Books, give you some answers based on search that is made. But the system reads 100,000 books in half a second. Can you imagine? And is not doing a search by matching what you ask, but it returns the best response for semantic research. So it's very difficult for us, as you can imagine, to read 100,000 books in half a second. So this is where machines are reaching today. Another great achievement by artificial intelligence, it's when AlphaGo beats the world champion of a very difficult game called Go. This was on South Korea, and at the time that this happens in South Korea, everybody started to freak out a little bit because we never imagined that such a difficult game as Go, that they said that has more plays than atoms on the universe, would ever exist a technical platform that could beat the world champion in that game. And that just happened sooner than we were expecting. But in terms of intelligence, in my opinion, we have to separate the human from the artificial, of course, at least at this moment. What I think that will happen, and I hope that will happen, is combine what we have as humans, creativity, our capabilities of spontaneous solving things and others that really make us humans, with the capabilities of artificial intelligence, like memorizing and store information. And if you put together the human and the artificial, we can empower what is our intelligence by having an augmented intelligence. So it will be to use the both of each other and not have one against the other. In terms of impacts, we are living a tremendous digital transformation, and we can also put this side by side with the industrial revolutions. We have the first one that was based on mechanical production equipment, mainly by the steam power, the second about electrical energy, the third one about the integration of IT, and now we are living based on the use of cyber-physical system, where we have the digital, we have the analogic, and we have the biological, and everything is coming together. So this is big transformation that happens, and they are powered for different technologies, such as Internet of Things. They are expected to have 30 billion of sensors, all connected by 2020. And all these sensors will be produce enormous amounts of data. Just to give an idea, the 90% of data that we have today was created in the last 2 years. So imagine in 5, in 10, or in 15. Another, and this is the main topic of our learning event, is about AI, about the algorithmic power that is fueled by all this data. And of course, the 5G, that will be the nervous system hyper-connected of these all technologies, producing more and more data and give us access to other technologies in our smartphone, for example, like virtual reality and augmented reality. And in terms of computational power, we have quantum computing. Some companies, some universities that are using quantum computing, the power that we have to produce computing in terms of interpret all this data and all this algorithm will be enormous. Just to give an idea of the change that have happened, if you look at the largest global companies in 2018 and in 2028, you can see in 2028 the big companies, they all supported by commodities that you can clear, see and identify. But 10 years later, in 2018, the biggest companies, they don't have the real commodities. Of course, they rely on data. We call that data is the new oil of today, but they are mainly based in digital and not in analogic. This is why we are living this digital transformation. If you look at these 4 companies, Uber, Facebook, Airbnb, and Alibaba. Alibaba is what we can call it the Amazon of Asia. All of them, they are based on digital platforms. But Uber, for example, they sell car ride, but they don't run one car. Facebook rely on contents, but they don't produce contents. It's we, the users, that produce that content. Airbnb, they rent houses, but they don't own one single houses. And Alibaba, they sell products, but it doesn't produce products. So for you to see all this big difference and all this big change that are happening and all these new algorithms, I can call them our intelligence. And for example, they are deciding what we are doing, where we want to go. We will ask Google Maps what to watch, Netflix, HBO, what to buy, Amazon, Alibaba, who to fire, in this case Uber, because as Uber and Amazon, they have algorithms. They are tracking the productivities of the employees. Are the algorithms that decide who's to be fired or not, what information to see, Facebook and all the other social networks. So you see, right now, it's not up to us to only decide, but we have all these algorithms that are decided by us. And with Home to Date, for example, and we have Tinder. So this is all these new things that are happening that really change the society in every aspect, in art, in culture, in industry, in the labor market, and so on. We have this example, just we have the notion where AI is reaching. Right now, we are starting to see that AI has the capacity to do things like this. And what is really, really tremendous is the pace, the velocity as these things are happening now today. But Of course, there will be lots of opportunities. In terms of jobs, the World Economic Forum tells us that until 2022, 133 million new jobs will be created. And this is the top 10 of emerging new professions that will be appear in the next few years. And at the same time, it tells us 75 million jobs will disappear. So we have positive in terms of the jobs that we will be creating, around 58 million, but you have to look about the top 10 that is declining, and you have to pay attention to our education models and the way they are prepare our students to the future. So one real big important thing and one idea that we have to transmit to our students is becoming more employable than an algorithm. That is really important. So human skills of creating new knowledge, problem solving, and working collaboratively. So of course is always important some of the strategies that we have nowadays, but to focus on this is real important. And the countries that make sure their population are educated in this way will achieve the most when it comes to developing AI and using it wisely. So we have to be ready, we have to be aware. So like Professor Rosen tells us, this is a revolution and we need to be prepared people for it. That is really important, and the key factor is education. But as I've been told you during this learning event, we cannot forget what is more important is for us to be humans, more humans. Albert Hubbard says one machine can do the work of 50 ordinary men or women. No machine can do the work of one extraordinary woman or man. Yuval Harari, he tells us a lot of very interesting things. And one thing that is always focused is about you will have to reinvent yourself. Due to this tremendous technology change, we have the obligation and we have to give this idea to our students that they could not forget that what is important is to be aware. Yann LeCun is one of the responsible for this explosion in artificial intelligence, and he tells us this very interesting sentence: our intelligence is what makes us human, and AI is an extension of that quality. We should never forget this. The ones that are creating AI nowadays are humans. A few months ago, I asked Toby Walsh. Toby Walsh is a very well-known expert in AI from Australia. And through Twitter, I asked Toby Walsh, what are the 4 skills that he considered as needed for an AI world for our students? And he told me grit, adaptability, creativity, and emotion intelligence. So this is what we need to do the most with our students for them to get the right set of skills for this AI world. And a last message: you were yourself before you get Kodak. Thanks.